It's about running culture. We're in a running boom right now. Running is a niche. It's a subculture, but it's moving into the mainstream. I really like this publisher. I'd actually pitched them in April of last year. No reply. And separately, a completely different person approached me in August of last year.
Raziq just landed a book deal based on his Substack newsletter, Running Sucks. Running and writing isn't always about crossing a finish line. It's about showing up step by step, even when it sucks. And Raz, he's doing both and just landed a book deal because of it. Raz is a longtime journalist, a runner, and running coach. In 2023, he started like most of us do on our first run, unsure, a little sore, but committed to showing up again tomorrow, no matter what. Fast forward 2 years, and his Substack newsletter caught the attention of the UK publisher Batsford. What's wild, Raz actually pitched that same publisher months earlier and heard nothing. Zero, nada. But later, someone else from the team reached out independently after reading his newsletter, a smart, soulful look at the culture of running. The book is coming in 2026, so Raz turned personal essays and cultural commentary into a book deal. I had to reach out to you because I saw your Substack note where you said, I just signed a book contract with a publisher based on my work on Substack. And I literally thought, okay, we need to talk about this. So tell us like everything. How did this happen? What's the story behind that moment there on notes?
Yeah, I've been writing on Substack since February 2023. I've been a professional journalist for 25 years. And so I approached it as such. I approached it as another part of my job and built out the content strategy. I've worked in tech with big companies and worked on their content strategy. So I kind of applied the same principles to myself, like treating myself as a business, essentially. Took all my training as a journalist and experience as a journalist to write something good, create a good product, something that people want to read, something that I want to write, and, approached it with all the best practices, both professionally and personally.
And what are we talking about there? What's the name of your newsletter and what is this newsletter all about?
It's called Running Sucks. It's about running. So I've been a running coach as well for almost 10 years. And so I bring a lot of my principles and experience as a running coach, all my learnings there to this. I used to be a music journalist in my 20s. My 30s, I spent working in tech, working at agencies, like doing copywriting and stuff like that. But I've always been writing on some level. I've been running for my whole life, same as writing, like 25 years. And so it makes sense that I want to share my experiences, share things I've learned over the time. There are lots of really interesting people in the world of running. Like I said, I was a music journalist. There are lots of interesting people there. Like everyone thinks musicians, rock stars are interesting people. The reality is a bit different. Sometimes they're quite boring people, even when you want them to be interesting. But I found that runners were really interesting. Lots of nerds, lots of people who, really care about stuff, really know a lot about stuff, want to share that and want to talk about it. And they're doing really cool things. They're doing things like running across the whole of Africa from south to the north or north to south. That's just one example of the things that runners do. And so I want to capture those stories and tell people those stories.
And the title of your Substack newsletter, I think this was the one where I thought, wow, okay, I love this title. Where does this come from? Is this like the first moment when you start?
Yes, absolutely. But that's the first time you start ever, or also every day. Running is a difficult thing for your body to do. We're sitting down right now, very easy. Getting up, going to the fridge can be a bit annoying. Getting up, putting your shoes on, stepping out the door, going for a run. That's annoying. That's difficult. Running sucks a little bit somehow. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be the same way. It could be that you're tired. It could be that it's cold. It could be you have a little injury. It could be that you've got a really long run and you're feeling lonely. But on some level, there is a way that running sucks. And so one of the things I try to do is show you ways to fix that. Going back to the coaching, if my goal is to get you to run more and enjoy running, then I can use all my experience to show you ways to enjoy running more. And if you tell me which bit is annoying you, which bit of running sucks today for you, I can maybe give you a couple of solutions that you can try out next time.
So you're like then our drill instructor and also our, motivation coach and everything to get us going, to start, and then get us going. Yeah. And maybe at some point run a half marathon or a marathon, for instance, here in Hamburg. This is like 2 hours from here. We had also the Hamburg Marathon over the weekend, there are multiple marathons here. And next year, my hubby and I, we also said that next year we want to run a half marathon, maybe. We go now back to you. You already shared that you have this journalistic background, and then also you knew how to manage yourself and see yourself as a business, which is really, really good. There are many people struggling with this. They don't want to sound salesy. They don't want to see their newsletter or their writing as like a business, which I think is cool after then more than 25 years to say, hey, I want to also start my own business besides being this writer. Yeah, what do you see there with your newsletter? What got you this book deal? Did you approach them, the publisher, or did they found you via Substack there?
Both, actually. I really like this publisher. I'd actually pitched them in April of last year. No reply. And separately, a completely different person approached me in August of last year. It was kind of serendipitous in that way that we were both on each other's radar, but differently. So in that first meeting, the person I sent the email to, they were on that meeting. I was like, I emailed you 4 months ago. And they said, I did actually find that email this week. And they have emails from so many people. You can imagine how many people pitch a publisher with a book idea. And so I was on a long maybe list for them. But then somebody else from the publisher got in touch, their assistant got in touch with me to write this book. So yes, it was a very unique situation.
Join the online writing club where writers, artists, and curious minds gather to create, connect, and keep each other accountable. From music journalist to running coach to published author, join the club and hear Raz take on storytelling, Substack, and staying inspired day after day. Can you tell us a bit more about the book? What's like the big idea or message you want to share with it? Why did you pitch it? Why do you think it's so important?
It's about running culture. We're in a running boom right now. Running is a niche. It's a subculture, but it's moving into the mainstream. And that's a really interesting moment in the sport. And so one of the things I've been doing over the past 2 years is documenting running culture and its encroachment into the mainstream. It's basically a cultural text. I come from a journalistic background, music, which is so cultural. A lot of times the music has more meaning. The people behind the music have more meaning than the music itself has quality. Think of punk rock, for instance. It's not Mozart, it's not going to be long lasting in terms of the technicalities, in terms of the structure of the song, but in terms of the meaning behind the songs, that is where the culture comes from in music. And so I've written extensively about the culture of music in that time. And then at university, I studied geography. Geography is one of those subjects that kind of has a reputation of people laughing at it, because it's maybe, they say, oh, it's coloring in maps, or it's just, but that's true if you stop studying it at the age of 9, same as maths is only 1 + 1 if you stop at the age of 3. But there's so much more to it. Geography is the study of culture. It's the study of people and their relationship to place. What is more human than that? That is culture. And so I have that background as well. I've got a master's degree in human geography, like thinking deeply about how humans interact with place, where they are, what they're doing, a very complex relationship. And so I bring that aspect into my writing as well. And my parents are from Bangladesh. And so I grew up in London as like a third culture kid, where, growing up in a household with, 2 parents who are not English. It was kind of built into me to think more about who I was, where I was, how I interact with this world, which is very different to my home world. So every time I step out the front door, it's different. That understanding of culture and different cultures and how people interact with cultures, I think, is something that I've been thinking about from birth. And so if you think about an expert having 10,000 hours of work in their subject, I've got that easily because it just happened naturally from birth and then through education and then through my job. And so that's the perspective I bring to writing about running. That's the hook of this book, essentially.
And where on your book journey are you right now? Have you, already like the outline, or is it already like, I don't know.
I'm in the middle of writing it. Through all my years as being a journalist, I've got lots of friends who've already written books. And so I'm kind of the runt of the litter there. Like, I haven't got a book with my name on it, but I've got friends who have got dozens of books or best-selling books or, whatever. And so it's not jealousy that I have for them. It's admiration. Like, it's great. I never really thought that I'd write a book, honestly. It wasn't really something that I cared about. I haven't run a marathon either. It's not something I care about. So that kind of thing, I'm very happy doing the process rather than the big end result, which a lot of people care about the marathon. I train with my friends who run marathons. I do the long runs with them, and but the actual event itself, I don't care. I'm in the middle of writing this book right now, and it's I'm learning a lot. I am learning a lot about myself. So this is fun. The book itself, when it comes out, great. But again, this process has been fun.
Because I know from some who also like pitched the top 5 publishers in the world or so, they told me there are like different approaches. Some just had like an outline, some just had an elevator pitch. Some even say, hey, here's already like the finished book. You can already set me an editor or something. That's why I'm asking. If you would have to like finish the sentence, writing a book is like what it's like. It's a grind, or what would you say is writing a book like?
It's a very fulfilling grind. One of the pieces of advice I got from every single one of my friends is just grind it out. That's it. The past month or so, 2 months, it's been the equivalent of filling the wall with Post-it notes. And then once the wall is full, I can start rearranging them and rewriting them. But I need to get that wall full first. So I need to get the words down. I need to grind it out. I need to get all my ideas onto the page. While I'm doing that, I'm already rearranging it in my head. My wife asked me if I was feeling confident and happy. I was like, no, I'm feeling less anxious. That's how I'm feeling. Approaching happiness, but not there at all. It's a grind. It's hard work. And that came from my friend who has written 10 novels. He has a BBC adaptation of one of his books. And he told me that every time that he starts writing a new book, he says it's his last one because he hates the process of grinding out the words. So it's a struggle. I'm at 60% of the way through, and it's already starting to feel a bit more fulfilling.
And do you like have the feeling you have this book inside you and it had to, you had to release this book?
It feels very natural. It feels like the natural thing to do. Like, I've had 2 years of hard work. This isn't a memoir. I'm not a blogger in that sense. Like, I'm a journalist. I document things. And so the documentation process isn't something that is instant. It's something that's done gradually over the years. Like, I've got 20 years of running experience. I've got 20 years of writing experience. I've got 10 years of coaching experience. It's all stuff that I've collected over time. If I'm honest, if I wrote this book in 10 years' time, it would be better because I'd have 10 more years experience and knowledge. So no, it's not something that needs to come out now. It's something that feels natural for now because, I've had 2 years on Substack and I've grown, a reasonable sized audience there that enjoys my work and reads my work. And so it feels natural to almost give them something tangible to hold from that. And it feels natural for me to produce something tangible from that, because as good as a newsletter is, it's not forever. I've had so much work that's online that doesn't exist anymore. If they just stop paying the domain fees, my work evaporates into nothingness. So having something tangible like this, I think, is important in the digital age that we're living in. So yeah, that's a long answer for you.
What's also very impressive is your growth on Substack. Maybe you can, tell us a bit more about this. You started 2 years ago with your newsletter, and now you have this book deal. You started like from rock bottom. And can you tell us a bit more about your subscribers and about your community? Do you think your Substack newsletter also played a role that the publisher picked you and said, okay, I would want to work with you?
Maybe. When the publisher first got in touch with me, I had less than 2,000 subscribers. So when they clicked on my newsletter, it would have only said over 1,000 subscribers, and which is a lot of people, but still not compared to right now where I have 3,600. So now it says over 3,000 subscribers, much more impressive. I've always had the idea that, if one person is reading my work, that's great. This many is also great. What about in a year's time if 5,000, 10,000 are reading? I don't treat my subscribers any differently if there's 1, 10, or 10,000.
Your next big idea deserves a supportive space. Meet Raz inside the Online Writing Club. From music journalist to running coach to published author, join the Online Writing Club and hear Raz's take on storytelling, Substack, and staying inspired. I always say you never know where you're going to be like in a year or two from now. Even now, if it's like a teeny tiny email list. Substack, for instance, you became a featured Substack newsletter, which is amazing.
So I was featured on Joanna Goddard's newsletter from Big Salad, I think is her newsletter. But that was a private newsletter separate to Substack. But that brought so many new readers to me from outside of Substack. She joined Substack after that, actually. As independent writers, we don't have, the marketing machine of a major publisher like a Hearst or a Bauer or anything like that. And so a link in somebody else's newsletter like that is like gold dust. It's so important. At the time, I only had 500 subscribers. And honestly, I'd been doing it for 6 months and I was wondering if it was worthwhile. It happened at the perfect time. I had 3 or 4 interviews in my stash ready to publish. And after that, I was like, will I keep going in 2024? I wasn't sure. But that gave me a really big push. Like lots of people saying, this is wonderful. I loved reading it, blah, blah, blah. That validation, that external validation was actually really important to me because it's difficult when you're putting in the work week after week. You don't hear it. You don't hear the appreciation out loud. It's very difficult to keep going. As the newsletter's grown, I've actually pushed for that kind of communication with my readers to ask them questions. I've encouraged feedback from them and stuff like that. That was really important for my personal process. As much as I've always stuck to my plan of publishing weekly and then twice weekly since last summer, having that actual audience interaction is really important to me because the internet, we're also spread out. And so sometimes time zones can even stop a conversation being comfortable. If I was writing a hyperlocal fanzine in East Los Angeles, then I would be handing them directly to people and people would be saying thank you directly to me. And I'd probably make another one in a month's time. But this, you click publish and it just goes out into the ether. And usually immediately there are 10 people who unsubscribe because they'd rather keep a newsletter from, LL Bean or Macy's or something like that rather than something from me. That's life. There's nothing you can do to change that. Keeping the ones who do want to read your stuff, that's really cool. And especially when they reply directly to an email. And so you get it in your inbox or leave a comment underneath or send you a message via the Substack app. It's fantastic. It's nice to actually have a conversation with somebody that you have something in common with. I write things for people who want to read this kind of stuff. So we have that in common. So actually having conversations with my readers, my community, whatever you want to call them, I really enjoy it.
I think that what you created is really, you built this community around running, and this is exceptional, and that's why I thought I definitely would have to interview you on this. And what I also love is that you now are thinking about like a second newsletter. It's called From Zero to Book. Apparently this is something coming out because you want your loyal audience to know more about this book, and I guess you're now also like in the pre-launch runway, meaning you already that you somehow have to promote your book already.
I want to write extensively about my process. And I think Substack's a really good place for that. I think there are people on Substack who want to know about how to refine their process, how to, like a writing workshop, what is a good mindset to have, etc. Again, I feel like I do have experience to share. And so I'm probably going to launch this once I finish writing the book. I'm going to, again, write out the plan, maybe 6 months worth of content post ready. And it'll kind of be like, if I'm going to write 6 months worth of posts, that's kind of a book's worth of words, And so people can subscribe to that and they can join in that conversation. But it didn't fit into the running newsletter. From Book to Zero is a publication about writing a book, not about running. And it's about me, about my experiences. So it is a separate publication. So it makes sense to differentiate them. Like silo them, and we'll see how it goes. Because I think it is cool when people can start publishing from zero on Substack. Because this whole thing was kind of an exercise in starting something new. I'd never written about running. There are many people who write about running on Substack who have come from the professional world. They're professional runners, or they've built a persona within the running world. They have an Instagram with 10,000 followers already that they can launch a Substack from. They work in marketing. They've already written for Runner's World, etc. Me, I start from zero. I run with my friends in LA. I never made a public persona, public profile around my running. And so when I started in 2023, I started from zero, hence the title, From Zero to Book. And 2 years later, I have a book deal, and I want to document how that happened, like fully, interestingly, hopefully. But yeah, I think there'll be value in it.
Raz, one more question in regard to your Substack, because we have on Substack these 29 categories, and now from like the history or the story you told me how you becoming like a professional journalist in the music industry, and then now in running, in the runner's world, is your newsletter then it's like the primary category culture, or do you pick another? It's culture then.
I can't remember what the primary category is, but it's because you can choose two categories. I've chosen sports and culture. I don't know which one's the primary, but they're kind of both. It's both things. So neither is more important than the other, because it is a sports newsletter, but it's also not. My goal is to write for people who don't run. Actually, I'm the only one of my friends who runs the way that I do. I was a music journalist, not really that famous a type of lifestyle for athletes, and so I want to write in a way that they can read it and understand what I'm talking about. I do not write marathon training plans. I do not write, this is your way to get your fastest 5K. That is boring as hell. I'll leave that to Runner's World. I'll leave that to other people who just want to recycle the same old shit. This is more than that. Maybe not more. It's different. There are many people doing what I do as well. Again, hopefully those three perspectives that I have that I outlined earlier, hopefully gives me a unique perspective write about culture from. But
and I think exactly this is the reason why then Substack featured you in 2023, because they're always looking at like for unique perspectives and not for the same old stuff. And I think this is exactly what your newsletter is about. And Raz, if you're thinking about like a new runner, who has no clue, do you have or what's your best advice to give a new runner?
Think about the thing that you dislike the most. Think about the thing that was making running suck the most. Just try and figure out a solution for that. My coaching philosophy is the same as my life philosophy. If you make the worst thing better, then everything's going to be okay. I care deeply about poverty alleviation. I care deeply about, reducing homelessness. If we solve those in society, if we put people in houses, if we make sure people aren't struggling to buy food, crime goes down, fear of crime goes down, streets are cleaner, so everybody benefits. It takes all of society up. And so if you transpose that concept onto running, let's say it's cold. The easiest one to solve. Put on a thicker t-shirt, a second t-shirt. You solved it. Now go for a run. And you can think about other things. You can start enjoying it a bit better. If it's too early, maybe next time start 10 minutes later, or think about running in the afternoon. Hopefully there's always a workaround. There's always a solution. So always think about the worst thing and think about how you can fix that, even a little bit.
Don't miss the masterclass with Raz, where you can discover how Raz turned a newsletter into a book deal and how you can build your own writing roadmap. Of course, because of your background, are you a music runner? Do you have like a favorite song or something?
No, I run with nothing in my ears at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't expect this.
Yeah.
So just like, you and the wind and your friends. And
the birds.
And the birds. And are you talking then to your friends too while you're running with them?
Yes. Yeah. I like to have a chat. it's a really great place to have a chat because there's a lot of vulnerability that rises up during a run, and you can have really deep and meaningful conversations while you're running. It's a really interesting thing. There's a whole lot of physiology behind that, actually, about how your nervous system is kind of disarmed while you're running because it's stressed. So you're freer to say things, and you have lots of different hormones running through your head, which send you make you a bit more free to speak, like a truth serum. Running is like a truth serum. But yes, I love chatting while I'm running.
Would you rather, run along a beach, or would you rather take a mountain trail? Because you told me you live in the mountain area.
Yeah. I mean, Los Angeles is an incredibly hilly city. And honestly, hills, they suck. I find them very difficult. So I'll take the beach. I do love running along the beach because it's nice and flat. And so it's nice and easy. And that's my way of making running suck less. I drive out to the beach.
Yeah, do you have the feeling that it's really easier at the beach? They say you can, train your muscles and everything even more when you're running, on the beach with the sand and everything.
You can.
Do you think about this as a runner coach?
I do. There's many options. Yes, you can train your ankles really well running on the sand. But I run along the pathway, so that doesn't apply to me. There are always benefits wherever you're going. If you're running up hills, you'll be getting really good workout up the hills. On the beach, it might be 10 Fahrenheit, 5 Celsius cooler than like inland where I am. So you might be able to train at a lower heart rate for a longer period of time, which is also hugely beneficial. There are benefits everywhere if you want to look for them, if you want to find them. Nothing is bad. Everything's good. And
now it's still like the best place for people who now say, I definitely love Rath and I would love to learn more about him. Is it your Substack newsletter, or where can people find you and connect with you?
You can search for Running Sucks on Substack, Running Sucks 101 on Instagram. Those are the 2 places you can find me.
Yeah, definitely check him out. And Raz, so we are looking forward to your book. Can you already tell us when the book will be published?
May 2026.
May 2026. Okay. And how long do you have? A year. But when do you have to, 60% already in the last 40%? When do you have to, finish the book?
In about a month.
Oh, in a month. Okay, so I see. So there's definitely a deadline there.
Yes. Yes, okay, there is.
So I can't wait to hear more about this. And what's it like then if, the book is finished and everything, and then you have to do like more marketing stuff and so on together with the publisher? Is it like a specific publisher for runners or for sports?
It's Batsford. It's a small publisher in the UK, and this is their first book on running. So it'll be interesting. They make beautiful books, and that was my primary. Because I always think when I walk into a bookstore, I trust the content of every single book in there. If a publisher has invested 50,000, 100,000 into publishing that book, that means the writer has been vetted. The publisher trusts the writer to be of a certain standard. What's the next thing you think of? What does it look like? What does the book look like? I still read physical books rather than Kindle books.
Me too.
So I still judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
And Batsford make beautiful books. So that's it. They make beautiful books. So which publisher published me, I didn't really care. What I did care about was the publisher that makes beautiful books. I was really happy that it's them, and that it worked out, that they eventually returned my call without meaning to.
So then we're gonna soon see like a beautiful book from a beautiful writer for beautiful readers, of course. And you definitely have to check out Raz's book that's coming out soon in May 2026. Thank you so much. It was delightful, Raz. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christina. It's a pleasure.
Join 14,000 plus artists, writers, and runners. Subscribe to stay in the loop with fresh interviews, creators tips, and behind-the-scenes lessons from creators like Raz.